G'day guys, welcome back to True Eagle. I thought today we would do a fun little off-season hypothetical. I have tried to come up with maybe not the ideal, but a very optimal off-season for the West Coast Eagles, because this is the time of year we're already daydreaming about it. We do have a game against the Gold Coast Suns. As you're watching this, that'll be tomorrow. I will be streaming on the True Footy live stream, but for now, let's cast our eye a little bit forward to the off-season. So in this video, I'm going to come up with the players that I wanted to list from the main list, which players I want to re-sign, of which there's pretty much just one left. I'm going to talk us through how we can improve our draft position. I've come up with a few trade hypotheticals. I'm going to try and get all of Tim English, Liam Baker, and Riley Garcia on the list. We are going to trade out Tom Barrass and one other player that I think is semi-realistic, and I'll explain better when I get there. Things like trading out Jake Waterman, at the moment, I'm a big no on that. And there was a story that broke today that Geelong are coming pretty hard for him. If that situation develops anymore, I'll make more videos about that. But for now, that's icky, and I don't want to even touch it with a 10-foot pole. So we're going to go through all the moves that I think are possible, bearing in mind this is just my opinion, and it relies on other teams coming to the party with these hypothetical trades. At the end, I will show you what our round one team might look like next year if we pull all of this off. So let's start with players we might remove from the list. Now, bearing in mind, because we took a mid-season rookie selection in Jack Hutchinson, we actually need to delist one extra player than players we're going to recruit this year. So to be specific, if I want to take 6 picks at the draft or 5 picks in the draft and trade in 2 players, that's 7 spots, I need to delist or remove 8 players. So by remove, I just mean trade out. So delist or trade, I have to get rid of a certain amount of players. So let's be specific about who I would get rid of. Andrew Gaff out of contract. He's going to retire, in my opinion. That's certain, I think. I would probably also push Jack Darling into retirement, respectfully, okay? He's probably going to end the year 295 games or whatever, depending on how he's selected. And that's a bit cruel, but at the moment, we would just be carrying him for no reason when he's not in our best 22 and we have an oversupply of tools. The cost is we have to pay out his contract for next year. That's fine, considering, we're probably going to make up some salary in guys like Gaff and Tom Barrass, who I think will get traded. They're leaning towards that happening now. Obviously, I don't really know, but it seems like that's gaining a bit of momentum, and I think it's more likely to happen than not happen. So those are the first 3 list changes I would make. Alex Witherden, Jermaine Jones, Josh Rotham, Luke Edwards, I would not offer contracts for next year. Kobe Burgiel is a maybe for me. If we did keep him, I'd probably move him to the rookie list because we need senior list spots. So how many players have I just cut there? I have cut 8 players from our main list, and that creates 7 list spots for now. I would re-sign Harry Edwards, absolutely. Apparently there's a bit happening in that space. I think that's another thing to consider with this Tom Barrass deal is Tom Barrass stays at West Coast. Harry Edwards probably knows it's going to be tougher for him to develop his career in his desired role as a primary key defender. So we have to bear that in mind, but, assuming that Barrass goes, then I would just re-sign Harry Edwards. I'd re-sign him regardless. So that takes us to the trade period, and we would enter the trade period with picks. Let's call it 2 for now, because I think it's almost certain we're going to finish bottom 2. I could be wrong. Let's call it pick 2 for the argument's sake here. 2, 23, 59, 77. So then we make a deal happen for Tom Barrass. Now, it's rumoured that Hawthorn's first 2 picks are likely what it's going to take. Unfortunately, that is a moving target too, because Hawthorn could bounce into finals and make that draft pick weaker. But right now it's 10 and 27 of their first 2 picks. So let's say we get that done. Then I propose a mega trade with the Gold Coast Suns. The Gold Coast Suns have an academy player called Leonardo Lombard in this year's draft who's probably going to fall somewhere between 5 and 10. Gold Coast hold picks 6 and 11. Now, they could roll the dice and hope that Lombard doesn't get bid on in the first 5 picks, which would absorb pick 6. Or could we motivate them to trade up to our pick 2? So that means that they can get a genuine pick 2 from this year's draft, and they can get Lombard with later picks. So this is my trade suggestion. Let me know what you think. We trade all of picks 2, 23, 27, and 28 for 6, 11, and 20. 2 for 6 and 11, I think, is skewed in our favour, and 23, 27, and 28 for 20 is skewed in their favour. So I think that evens up, and it gives Gold Coast a lot of points to match for academy picks, which they can, on trade further as well. Then let's say we go for Riley Garcia. That story has picked up a little bit of momentum, and I'm just going to include him in this as someone that we're clearly interested in. And for argument's sake, let's try and make this happen. I would probably just trade a future third for Riley Garcia. I don't think you pay any more for that for a player that can't break into the side. We could even get him cheaper for that. So that's why I've made it a future pick, ignoring from this year's particular draft hand. So what does that give us? Pick 6, 10, 11, 20, 59, and 77, given that we have 6 list spots. That was 7. We've now traded for Riley Garcia. So then we've got to sign Tim English. Now, this one will just purely come down to whether Tim English agrees to sign on the dotted line with us or the Western Bulldogs. But let's say he does. That will remove pick 77, not in a trade, but just that we don't have the list spot anymore. So then we're looking at 6, 10, 11, 20, and 59. Now, then we have a decision. Do we trade for Liam Baker? Now, pick 20 is now a possible offer for Liam Baker. I think that's probably at the back end of his range, but in his range nonetheless. So if we wanted to go for Liam Baker, we'd give up pick 20 for that. Now, let's circle back to this Tim English signing. If we sign Tim English, I think this creates a serious conversation about Bailey Williams. Now, Bailey Williams is probably going to get some interest from interstate parties. He is under contract, but I look at a club like Melbourne, who have Max Gawn aging and not many rucks on the list at all. Could they use a ruck forward to invest in? Bailey Williams has the potential to be a ruck forward, and for us, I don't think it's clicking. But if we just sign Tim English, and we've already got an issue of keeping Bailey Williams into the team, then I think a deal might get done that suits all parties, and I don't think it would be for much. So let's say that Bailey Williams goes to Melbourne as a result of signing Tim English, and we get pick 38. So, summarising everything we've just done, we've just added Riley Garcia, we've added Tim English, and we've added Liam Baker to this best 22. Now we also hold 3 first-round picks. We hold 6, 10, 11, 38, 59, and that's all of our 5 list spots. So then we can take that to the draft. Bearing in mind, we have also traded out Tom Barras and Bailey Williams. Again, you can come up with your own opinion as to whether you think we should go for Liam Baker. Like, we could hold pick 20 and hold a really strong draft hand. But like I said, just for argument's sake, to make all of these trade targets happen, we give up pick 20 in this instance. So 6, 10, 11, 38, and 59 is a pretty nice draft hand. So let's just come up with a hypothetical draft hand at this point and the plays that I'd pick. Bearing in mind, I'm going to change my mind a million times before the actual draft. So with pick 6, you know, we probably trade out of that range for guys like Smiley and Finn O'Sullivan and potentially Sid Draper if Adelaide have a pick before us now. I would probably be looking at guys like Harvey Langford, who has a chance to still be there at pick 6, or Sam Lawler or Sam Layla, however you like to say it. One of those two. Both of those are Vic Country boys, both of those midfielders that add to a young core nucleus that we've started to develop over the last couple of years. So then we have picks 10 and 11, and there's so many different ways you could go with this pick. One option is Luke Trainer. He's that intercepting key back. If you want to see me talk more in depth about guys in that range of the draft, I have done a video earlier this week called First Pick Targets, 24 draft first pick targets. So Luke Trainer is an intercepting defender, not a key back, but nonetheless a Ridley-esque intercepting, skillful rebounding defender who is 194 centimeters, and I do think is a positional need, especially if you trade out Barras. Okay, so he's not a key back, but I think he probably could start round 1 as a third tall defender if you go with Harry Edwards and Jeremy McGovern. Depends on Rhett Bazzo, of course, but that's one option. And then at pick 11, you got a guy called Xavier Lindsay, who's a very quick outside mid, very skillful. I really like his attributes. I don't know if 11 is realistic. He could go later than that. You've also got names like Taj Houghton, Toby Travalia to consider as well. So don't get too fixated on the picks, but I do think attributes-wise, adding a powerful midfielder in Harvey Langford, an intercepting defender in Luke Trainer, who I think adds something different to what we have, and Xavier Lindsay, who is a good, classy outside mid, then I think we've plugged a few holes in the list. So then you've got a couple of later picks, and it would be nice to go a tall defender who is a genuine tall defender, different to Luke Trainer, in Cale Geraint. I think that's how you say his name. He's a West Australian prospect that's a forward ruck. I think mostly played a little bit down back. I'd probably try and develop into a key back or pick someone else. I'm not too familiar with the depth of the draft that late yet. I'm still building my draft knowledge. And then at pick 59, you've got our academy pick in Malachi Champion. So I think Champion's likely to be around that pick. I think we can match any bid now, which is handy. So he just becomes by default the 5th player there. So again, don't get too fixated on the draft hand. As we get closer to the draft, I will have more concrete opinions on this, but we've added a powerful inside midfielder, an intercepting, skillful defender, which I think in the modern game is still important. Xavier Lindsay is a very skillful outside mid that we need. Then you add a prospective key back tall, a genuine one, and then our academy player in Malachi Champion, who's a bit of a small forward who could potentially push up the field and play, wing or midfield. So that's 5 solid picks, 3 picks in the top 11. I have given up Bailey Williams, given up Tom Barras, and I've also added Liam Baker, Tim English, and Riley Garcia to our midfield, and all those players are 27 and younger, and that is a demographic we kind of needed to add to. So should we get up a rough guess at our round 1 team for 2025? So either players in green are new, and bear in mind, don't get too fixated on this either, because I have tried to shoehorn the new recruits in to demonstrate what it would look like to have them. So if you look down back, I'd probably have Liam Baker as a bit of a rebounding half back who can push into the midfield. Luke Trainer could slot in round 1. It'd be great to see Rhett Bazzo fit and firing and ready for round 1, but for the time being, let's go Luke Trainer. Tim English comes in and bolsters our ruck division quite a lot, considering I think our ruck situation has not been great, as you'd probably be aware. Forward line probably largely untouched, given Malachi Champion's probably unlikely to debut round 1. But if you see on the bench there, I've added Riley Garcia, who probably would play round 1 for us, considering his dominating VFL level. And he probably takes a spot of a Luke Edwards or something like that. Or you could just go Campbell Chester round 1. We'll see. Harvey Langford again. Is he going to play round 1? So much has to play out, but that is at least our first pick there. You also see the lack of Tom Barras. You got Harry Edwards starting down there as key back. And I think overall, there is a good blend of talent and age and experience there, and it's just shuffled us into the right direction and added 3 picks in the top 11. So as always, guys, I welcome your opinions. This is a bit of fun. Let me know in the comments if you want to do this in the comment section. I'll have a look at it. Just coming up with creative ways to try and improve our list, and hopefully the club is as aggressive as I was in this video. I think this is the amount of aggression I'd like. I mean, you could also delist Dom Sheed because he's outside of the best 22 at the moment. I think that might not be financially responsible to pay out 2 players who are probably on decent money. There's Jack Carroll. I could have gone instead of Riley Garcia. Barras might stay. Jake Waterman might go. I really hope that's not the case. But anyway, it's a bit of fun to think about what we would look like come the end of the draft period. But anyway, for now, I'll thank you for watching. I'll thank you for being subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.